So, welcome to the Listen.Better podcast. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by the very busy Sarah Waddington, CBE, who is the CEO of the PRCA, has been there for nearly 18 months now, and co-founder and director, of course, of Socially Mobile, and has been running that with her husband for 6 years. So lots of experience, lots of stories to tell and share. But welcome, Sarah. I want to dive straight in because I know your time is precious. We're at a moment where trust and transparency are under really intense scrutiny, and clearly areas where your voice has both authority and clarity. So when we're saying trust is really hard to earn right now, what can the comms industry do in simple terms to try and help rebuild it? And where do you think it could be doing more?
Wow, Annabel, first off, great to be here. Thanks for inviting me on. But wow, so that's a big question to start with, but one I'm happy to delve into. You're right. Right now, it's a really difficult place, I think, generally for everybody, for individuals, for brands, for organizations, for leaders. And there are lots of reports that show trust is really lacking and has been dropping year on year. People may be familiar with the Annabel Trust Barometer, and that's always a good read. But there are many other reports, and you can see that trust in media and institutions is the lowest it's ever been. So that it's a situation where people just don't know where to turn. Now, this year's Edelman's Trust Barometer was really interesting and a little bit scary because they talked about the grand retreat where people really are at a point where they have retreated to very much their own community. So they only really trust, someone very close to them, and then only when they share common values. And that's quite a dangerous place to be. We need people to be able to consume the news and believe what they're reading and feel confident in that. They need to be able to go to important organizations, particularly public sector, and believe in that, whether that's the NHS, whether that's local authorities, local government, whether it's national government. And for me, communications has a really important role to play within that. We are the people who can foster communications, simplify really complex messaging, do the stakeholder mapping, do that engagement where you really listen. So it's not just a broadcast message, you're engaging properly with communities and using that information to cascade it back to whatever the organization is to make positive change. And so for me, in this very fractured society where we have war in the Middle East right now, we have ongoing political turbulence. I mean, at the moment, at the point of recording, we've just had the health secretary step down after Labour's drubbing in the local elections, and everybody's expecting more change to come. It's really important that people know who they can turn to and feel confident in what they're hearing, and that's definitely a strategic communicator's place.
Fantastic. That's a really good roundup. And yes, absolutely right. At time of recording, I think Keir Starmer's still Prime Minister on 15th of May, but
Not
time will
not
tell.
saying not yet, but yeah, time will tell, as you say.
And of course, also big shifts at the moment. AI has been around for a little while now, but it really is reshaping how messages are created. We've got artificial content creation going on left, right, and centre. What does ethical PR mean in the midst of that? And where do you think the red lines should be drawn?
This is a great question, and it's really pertinent. Now we're now living in a world, what I'm calling an LLM world, a large language model world, and that's really impacting anybody who's concerned with reputation. And the way I think about it is that, in times gone by, we might have said, "Oh, that's a minor crisis. Don't worry about it. It'll be fish and chip paper in a couple of days." That's not the world we live in anymore. The way that LLMs are churning information, they gather information and then they're regurgitating it. So if you have got an issue, it may well, return time and time again and really impact the value of your brand. And so again, it's a great opportunity. We're standing in front of a really interesting opportunity for strategic communicators, because we are the people who have always done created the brand narrative, done the engagement piece. But not just that, we monitor when we report on brand reputation. So we can monitor that. We can help organizations be misinformation ready, and we can provide the crisis management where it's required. So it's a funny old place in terms of AI. It's completely transforming how we do things. It's helping us bring efficiencies into the workplace. I don't think it's necessarily changing the workforce radically. I think it's changing how we do work, but not the workforce. And it's enabling us to advise clients accordingly. But fundamentally, where I stand, the PR industry is standing in front of a huge opportunity in terms of we have this trust issue, which plays to our strengths, and we have the LLM way of working, which also plays to our strengths. And so, if we unify and communicate what we can offer to business, we have a massive opportunity for growth.
So do you think PRs really need to be upskilling in how they use AI strategically to ensure that, budgets are protected? But what would your advice be to agencies and in-house comms teams on their relationship with AI?
Yeah, and that's an interesting one too, because I think a lot of PR folk have got across this. My view is that AI and automation is additive to a team. It's like something that is really helpful in driving efficiencies, but it needs to be driven. What is needed there is critical thinking. And so, yes, there is a need to upskill, and we're seeing huge demand for our AI related training courses, actually. And that's about the governance element, not just the practical element. And I think that's really key in terms of where people need to upskill is not just to be jumping in blindly, but to making sure that you've got a tool and you've got the right, like an enterprise level tool. So when you're putting data in, it's a lot safer. But so they understand what the grey areas are, where the boundaries should be, all those good important safety issues. And then obviously, how do you use that practically? But as I say, when I'm talking to certainly our PRCA members, teams are maybe slimming slightly, but not drastically. And it's actually because there's been this realization that AI is important, and it can bring a lot of strength within an organization. But actually, you do need those people to be able to deploy it effectively. And so the skill set is just changing a little bit in terms of when people are coming into the workforce, we're looking for people who are naturally digitally native, which we're seeing anyway, but can do new business. Also understand the critical thinking element in terms of don't just generate a report, but know how to interrogate that or know the appropriate prompts to put that in. And so it's really fascinating in terms of the skill sets that is required today.
Really interesting and great to plug the PRCA courses there. I know they're very well attended and
Yeah,
the
couldn't resist the opportunity. We've got loads on geo. I mean, the geo piece in terms of how to help generate positive brand mentions, but in an ethical way is really important. And you mentioned ethics. That's a key skill for anybody who's working in public relations and public affairs today, and it's something that all our members commit to, and they all have to adhere to our code of conduct. And if you're in public affairs, we have a very rigorous code for professional lobbying. But that is really, really important. And actually, it picks up on a statement that we issue today, because once you understand geo and how it works, it means that you could potentially manipulate brand mentions. And what we're saying is actually, we need as an industry to take a stand. I know my members would adhere to the code of conduct and do only what's right and advise organizations appropriately. But we need everybody to follow suit to maintain the integrity of the information environment. And again, it's a great leadership opportunity for us as a sector.
fantastic. Yeah. Gosh, you pack a punch in every answer, Sarah. I'm having to listen very hard to keep up with you. Fantastic.
There's a lot going on, but you know what? It's a time of massive change. I mean, you said it yourself in terms of AI is just one area, then the nature of what we do is changing. And so, we're all working really hard at the PRCA, to do our futures and foresights work and to understand what's coming over the horizon so we can respond and advise our members accordingly, and also take that message to the business community and policymakers who need to understand better what we do and also invest more heavily in our services. I mean, the question at the very beginning is an interesting one, isn't it? In terms of, how do we build trust? Well, one of the things we've done today within a leadership position at the PRCA is join a collective of business leaders to stand up and say, anti-Semitism has absolutely no place in today's society, and this is what we commit to doing in terms of stamping that out. And I think, again, that's really important too, in terms of, if we want to build trust within communities, we need to say that behavior is unacceptable, and this is what we will do to help. And at this point in time, it's a very, very scary time for our Jewish colleagues, and I think it's important that there is no longer silence around that. And and we offer our solidarity, our support, and our help.
That's fantastic. I was going to give you the power to wave a magic wand, and if you could change one thing overnight in the comms industry, the global PR industry, let's say, something that would perhaps meaningfully improve its credibility, because in some quarters there are still some naysayers, it's spin, it's fluff. What would you do, and why hasn't it changed yet?
Okay, that's a good question. I've got two answers. Can I have two magic ones? Can I have
Oh,
two
there
little
you
ones?
go, magic wand.
Two rubs of the lamp. First one is, and it speaks to some of the work that we've done at the start of the year. Is I really would love to see better understanding of public relations in its wider sense, and it's why we went out to our community to publish a new definition of public relations at the start of the year. And that's important because there are some good definitions out there, but they kind of speak to the sector rather than to the external community that we need to influence. And so the one that we've settled on is really good because it talks to the economic and societal impacts that we drive, but also the commercial ones, which we've been a bit shy of in the past. And so we've lost credibility and work to other colleagues, whether that's been advertising and marketing, whether it's been management firms, whether it's been even law firms to an extent, who, do crisis comms in one shape or form. So I think that's the first thing. So I think when people understand where we fit within an organization, that's a game changer. So, for example, and I know this from experience because, as well as being a chartered public relations practitioner, I'm a chartered director. Now, that takes pretty much 2 years, even with a fair wind. It's a big commitment, and you do three different um, parts of learning. There's a certificate, then there's further exams, and then you have an interview. And what was interesting for me coming from my background is that they teach fantastic work on leadership, on stakeholder engagement, on risk preparedness, on crisis management, on futures and foresight work, of data and insights. But at no point in those teachings, and this is not just with the Chartered Director program, I've seen this elsewhere, particularly looking at different syllabi. I don't know what the word is, but they don't
It's still
connect
above.
that syllabub. Yeah, all of it, all the above. But they don't connect that fantastic work with the PR department. They don't say, you need this within an organization to do ethical and well considered decision making, and actually the place to go for it is the public relations department, and this is what good looks like. And so that's kind of my job at the moment, is to say, let's connect those dots to make it more obvious. So that's one magic wand in terms of making sure that if everybody was very clear about what we did and where it sat within an organization, resilience and success, that would be a joy, although it would take a lot of weight off my workload. But then what would I do next? Well, the next thing, I guess, would be to look at, well, creating a much more inclusive place for everyone. One of our strategic goals is inclusive by default. And as I've spoken a little bit to this morning in terms of the letter that we have co-signed in support of our Jewish colleagues, what I'm keen to do is lead what we're calling a sector of solidarity. And I would love to see this in place and succeeding. And this is something that we will launch within the near future, which will embrace all the different diversity groups, our community, other players within the field like the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, and look at the provision in place for everybody, particularly those from marginalised or underrepresented groups. And then we will look at what the need is still there. We'll do an audit, what are the gaps and how can we fill them? And then also, how can we have a united voice externally to say, look at what we're doing. Here's an exemplar, but we have to make the UK a welcoming, safe home for everyone. And that is a much bigger ambition. It can't be done by a single individual organization, which is why we want to do it as a collective. But I would love to see that because, you know, I still like to think of the best of everyone, and I just can't think that there are many people who are happy with things as they are. And I have many colleagues and friends and family who are frightened to go out at times at the moment, and I find it utterly unacceptable. So if we can start with what we can do from an individual and organization and then a sector perspective, that would be super, super powerful.
That's a really compelling narrative, how you've described that, and I actually don't think you need a magic wand. I think you've got everything you need in your armory to make this happen over the coming months and years. So, yeah,
But
really
fingers crossed on that. I mean, I really, really believe that if you look anywhere to any continent right now, society is very fractured. As we talked about before, trust is low. Strategic communicators, well, we're here to foster communications, and we're here to broker understanding between disparate groups. And I think we really need to lean into that. You know, we can bring our strengths to this and improve things for everybody. And that's got to be a great aim and something that everybody can get behind. And very
mm,
rewarding too.
yep. I can well imagine looking back in your time leading the PRCA in perhaps decades to come, that will be one of the big changes that you've been part of. So you've worked across agency leadership, industry representation, and social mobility. What's the part of the job, would you say, that still gives you the biggest buzz day to day? What gets you up in the morning?
Oh, it's a tricky one, that, because there's a lot to this role. It's a privilege to be in this role. And you have to take a real macro perspective. But I think the thing that gives me the buzz is I get a real excitement about imagining what the future industry looks like. So we talk about being, building the industry of the future. And that's the thing that propels me to my desk every day, gives me the buzz, that helps me find the energy. You know, we're a big global organization. You know, I travel, internationally, not just around the UK, because we're very committed to our regions and nations. And it's challenging. The sheer volume of stakeholders is huge, you know, not just our member community, but everybody engaged with. We have a fantastic volunteer community who I'm really grateful for. But it is a privilege to be able to meet and listen to every single person as I go on my travels, as I do my job, and understand what the PR world means for them right now, what the world of PA looks like right now, and what they see to be the PRCA's role in helping them grow, thrive, professionalize. And that's always really exciting. And one of the things I had perhaps underappreciated before getting into this role was how important people find our codes of conduct, and how they want to see that front and center of everything we do, because of that drive and commitment to pushing up standards and being seen to be ethical consultants, and just wanting to be the best they can be. And that's what I really see every single day from our community. They've joined us because these are people who are committed to excellence, and that's great, because there's like an effect, but it rubs off on me as well, in terms of like they're helping me be better every single day. And that's, again, I'm grateful for that.
Fantastic. And that's certainly reflected in the PRCA awards, the ongoing awards, which are very popular and well supported. I'm going to finish up with one final question, because I want to really understand who Sarah Waddington is. So outside the boardrooms and all the policy conversations, what's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Well, people always raise an eyebrow when I say that I got 5 kids. Now, they're not all mine. I have 3 wonderful stepkids and 2 of my own. But the thing that really makes them smile, mainly because I'm a bore about it, is that I am a chicken mum. We have an allotment and we have 10 chickens, 2 of which we rehomed. And I'm absolutely daft for these chickens. They have a swing, they have a slide, they get snacks every day. My Insta algorithm now is mainly things to do with chickens. So I think people probably find that surprising. They've all got names. We eat an awful lot of eggs in this house. I also, we have a little market goes on, because I'm also a member of a gym, and everybody's obsessed with protein. So it's amazing how many how many eggs you can sell in a week. But yeah, I think probably people would probably not expect that necessarily. But in terms of, it's a big job. Staying grounded. There is nothing better than coming home being with my husband and the kids, who immediately ground you anyway. Anybody who has children will know that they have a way of leveling you out like no other. But then also, just taking time out, going dig some weeds. I planted loads of dahlias last Sunday. I'm hoping the weather perks up because we do need a bit of warmth. And then yeah, just tending the chickens. So there you go. Not sure how that will land, but I am a mad chicken lady.
I love that. Indulge us. Give us 5 top chicken names that you've got.
Well, we have Lady Ange. She's a very beautiful grey hen. We have Joe Linton, who is named after, of course, the Newcastle United player. For those who don't know, I'm actually Newcastle based, and all my great kids are Geordies, and we're all from Magpie fans. The two that are rehomed, one's Gladys and one's Fergie. They're both ginger and needed rehoming, so I was a bit like, it's a bit like, the Fergie. And then we have, who else should I pull on? We have Kirk. I don't know where that came from. That was one of the boys chose that name. But yeah, we've got a whole set. But they're funny. I mean, and they're great. They know when you come. They come and line up when they see you. So they're like, oh great, here she comes with snacks. They're really, honestly, I'm turning into a bore. I tell you, they're really fascinating. They're like little tractors. They clear all the space around them, and if you if you watch them drink water, they drink water like they're sipping wine. Yeah, I love them. I love them.
I think that's a great image and joyous place to end this interview. Thank you so much, Sarah, for your time today. Really looking forward to seeing you again in person at some point, and we'll be looking out for your initiatives and policy changes in the coming weeks and months. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, Annabel.